We're 100,000 Hacksters today, which is very exciting. Now, I remember when we were like probably 50 Hacksters or even fewer. And so in celebration, I thought since it's Throwback Thursday, we will take a quick trip down memory lane. Quickly, before we dig into that though, I gotta say that if you sign up today, we may or may not have a special little thing to share with you, as well as all of the people who have been here from the beginning and throughout our history. So yeah, sign up now if you haven't done so before. Hackster.io. It's the best thing that's gonna happen to you in the next 10 minutes. So, all right, I thought it would be fun to pull up some of the earliest projects ever uploaded to Hackster. This one was published in June 3rd of 2013, and it's an autonomous helicopter built by Iran Beck and Rohit Gupta. Cute little project. We didn't have the same interface design that we do now, so the editor was a little weirder. You know, the bill of materials and everything weren't implemented in the same way, and sometimes the code was like embedded in the middle of the project, but still these are projects that have a ton of useful, cool information. Oh yeah, look at that! The bill of materials is down at the bottom here. Oh, you know what? I actually forgot to pull up. Oh man. My first ever project on here. Oh man. Well, we'll get back to that. Next up, we have a Teensy power controller, the awesome Teensy from Paul Stoffergen, made by Super Brainiac. On here, this person wanted to build a, basically a clean, type of voltage input for their Teensy. And at that point, it was the Teensy 2.0. Now we're up to like the 3.7 or something, and so this is pretty cool. Got a bunch of code to share and whatnot. Next up, we have a cool project that's like a Japanese Taiko Drum that teaches you how to play it. So this is made by a bunch of different makers: Adam Gelfo, Gabriel Suarez, Lucas Nissenbaum, and Adam Harris. I'm probably saying those all wrong, but yeah, tons of components, and I think this is maybe a university project from back in the day. There were a number of different music ones, and check out these awesome schematics and circuit diagrams and stuff. So good! Oh, and their DIY PCB. Oh, look at this! That's so cool. They made their own little PCB there. That's oh, look at that breadboarding. Oh wow. Oh wow. That's wow. Then we have a glass harp controlled by OSC. A glass harp is like when you take a wine glass and you vibrate it by like running your finger around the rim or whatever. They built a robot that does that, which is pretty cool that it's controlled by OSC, which I think is controlled over MIDI. I might be wrong. The spinning motor is slowed down with a simple NE555 PWM circuit. Super cool. So a 555 timer is a common chip that is used to time things. For example, you can create oscillating pulses that are used for square waves in music and stuff like that. PWM, of course, is pulse width modulation, which is like what it refers to when you vary the width of those pulses of electricity so that you get more time on or off, and like it changes the speed and the if you use it on an LED, it changes the brightness, for example, the apparent brightness. Lots of cool stuff there, made by Igor. And the Believe It, which I think is how you would pronounce this, made by J.R. Stoner, is a lithium cell charger / manager / switcher. His description is, it is a good, safe lithium cell charger that simultaneously supplies a load with a good, efficient regulator. Fantastic. So lots of music stuff, lots of power management things from our early days. And they had tons of excellent documentation despite the fact that our interface was not as glorious as it is now. And I got one more of these for you. The Yet Another Music Box by Pierre Doucet. Again, another music project. And I think this one uses a TI Launchpad board, the MSP430. So, it works with Arduino as well, but we already had people using different types of controllers on here. And okay, the Ukebot I have to show you because it's my first project on here ever. This was, I was introduced to the site by my friend Cedric One, who is awesome. And together we built this robotically controlled ukulele. And my hair was a very different color! And it played itself with servos and stuff. And I built the physical assembly and he wrote all the code and it was fantastic. It seemed so challenging at the time. But, you know, several years on, it seems much easier. And we presented it at Science Hack Day, and PR came out, and we had this inflatable astronaut that played the Ukebot. Oh, I wonder. Let's see if we can hear it. I'll put the link under this video so that you can hear it. It'll be awesome. All right, so that's the early days, right? And maybe that was super boring for you, but check it out. After that, in 2015, we bought a DeLorean and went on this massive 12-city hackathon tour called Hardware Weekend, and called Hack to the Future, because that was what was going on that year was, you know, the whole Back to the Future year had arrived. And if you are curious about how people hack a DeLorean, it actually has its own page. DeLorean. Or you can go and look up Hardware Weekend and find all the projects that people built for those. And there were a ton of really amazing things. But yeah, check it out. Hackster.io/DeLorean is kind of a treasure trove of neat little projects. Super cute. So when we started this, I was working at a company called Pinocchio at the same time, and they were basically an Arduino that does mesh networking with radio. And one of the components, like one of the Pinocchio boards, was called a lead scout, and it would connect to Wi-Fi and also to this radio mesh. And then the rest of the mesh networked radio boards, the field scouts, would just talk to each other. And you can relay information from one board to another. And it's funny because if this sounds familiar to you, there's some hyper new news that is coming from Particle, who were sort of our rivals at the time. Pinocchio has since turned into this company Filament that does a ton of cool stuff with like collision avoidance and stuff for tractors and other industrial applications. All kinds of stuff where you need things to talk to each other in a reliable fashion and maybe relay some mesh sensor data up to the cloud. Well, it turns out that Particle has just released 3 new boards that do mesh networking, so it's kind of come full circle. And they're one of the earliest and most popular platforms on Hackster. So it's awesome that Particle has kind of been with us through this whole ride. From basically, you know, 25 people to 400,000 users. I'm just going to say that again. 400,000 Hacksters now, which is super cool. And you, if you're not one yet, you should totally join because check out all these amazing projects people are building. There's so much to look at. Okay. And so, just to give them a quick plug, Particle has got their new boards out. They are called the Argon, Boron, and Xenon, and they are discounted until they start shipping in July. So they all have mesh networking over radio. The Argon has Wi-Fi, which is using the ESP32, different to their previous Wi-Fi boards. The Boron LTE, which does cellular, and then the Xenon, which just does mesh and BLE. They all do mesh and BLE, but the Xenon is sort of your cheap one that you can have a ton of them, and then you use either the Argon or the Boron or both to relay information up to the cloud via Wi-Fi or cellular, however you need to like take that information and act upon it, or use a remote control system, control all the Xenons from your Argon or your Boron or both. And these all work with the existing IDE, or at least they will by the time they come out. So you'll be able to use the existing Particle Cloud IDE and CLI that you know and love from their Spark and Photon boards and the Electron, which does cellular too. All of them use the same IDE, super familiar, super easy, and you're going to be able to flash it over BLE, which is fantastic. Again, they are discounted until they ship in July. So you can go check these out at particle.io/mesh, not meth. And oh yeah, and they're done in the form factor of the Adafruit Feather, which means that they're compatible with any Adafruit Feather wing, which is basically their shield for the feather. Which means that there's tons of stuff already available to plug directly into this. For example, LED matrices that are like all neopixels and completely programmable and stuff like that. Super cool stuff. And it's got a little JST connector for your external rechargeable battery. Super cool. All right, again, so that is, our celebration, 400,000 users. We've had some pretty cool people come with us the whole way, and you can join us if you haven't already. Be sure to do so tonight, because there's going to be a really cool little surprise for everyone who is part of the community. And if you already get the newsletters but you haven't looked at them in a while, then be sure to check your spam folder. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Have an awesome Throwback Thursday, and thanks for taking this trip with me down memory lane.